They're called viruses. So I'm going to install now for all of you a freeware, which you can keep for as long as you like, and you can take it for the rest of your life if you like. It's a freeware antivirus. Whenever you have a thought that goes against yourself, against anybody else, just say with me, cancel, will you? Cancel. Cancel. Throughout the day when you have such a thought, what will you say? Cancel, as simple as that. If the thought comes again and again, what will you say? Cancel, cancel, cancel. It's very simple, but don't underestimate how powerful it is. Every tool I'm sharing with you here is simple but very powerful. We've used it with thousands of people, and they all come back to us and tell us that's amazing, it actually works. One lady came to me and said, what have you taught me? In the beginning, when you taught this to me, I was saying cancel 300 times a day. 300 times a day. Next day, luckily it was 250 times. Next day, 200 times. I said, karte, in 1 month, she said, I cancelled the cancel. And this is also based on brain science. You can change the way you think in about a month's time. We, on the average person, think 60,000 thoughts a day, of which 90% are the same as yesterday. No wonder people feel so stuck, right? So we can change that with one word. Also try another 2 beautiful words. No matter what happens, let's say, how wonderful. What do you? How wonderful. So your wife has made food you don't like. What do you say? How wonderful. You're stuck in a traffic jam. What do you say? How wonderful. Your favorite team loses the match. What do you say? How wonderful. And the very funny thing about this, whatever you think, you find a reason for it. This is a very fascinating aspect of the human brain. You know, if all of you here, you can very honestly say, I've had a difficult life. Isn't it true? Everyone's had a difficult life. Everyone's had challenges in their life. But isn't it also true? Please say with me, I am the most fortunate person alive. Is that also true? Can you see that? So this is a very powerful principle. Let's say together, what the thinker thinks, that the prover proves. What the thinker thinks, the prover proves. Whatever you think, you'll find evidence for it. So if you think I'm a bechara, yes, you're a bechara. Nobody can convince you otherwise. Alright? If you think your problems are acute, you're right. If you think your problems are cute, you're right. Are they acute or are they cute? It's how you look at it. It's completely based on how we look at it. Another powerful thing, if you can't say how wonderful, at least say, what does it say? It's good enough. If you can't say wonderful, at least say it's good enough. Why? It's your life you're talking about. It's your life you're talking about. This present moment, if it shouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have happened. If it shouldn't have happened, it wouldn't have happened. How can you say it should? Stress is known as questioning God's plan. Stress is doubting God's plan. Because doubting the larger plan. Has it ever happened to you in your life where your plans didn't work out and later on you said, how wonderful? Hasn't it ever happened to you? You're so thankful it didn't work out. So maybe all of this also, one day you look back and say, how wonderful. So if you're going to get that wisdom 20, 30 years from now, why not get it right now? By saying, how wonderful. These are powerful tools that take us a long, long, long way, creating a shift in the way we look at life. Nick Vujicic makes every day a complaint-free day. Because the complaint-free day is the day you take full responsibility for your experience. When you're complaining, you're becoming a victim. You're blaming. Can we try to make this a complaint-free session? Is that a good idea? Yeah? Are you all asleep? Are you all asleep? Alright, let's say together, I choose to make this 100% complaint-free session. No matter what Nitya does, I'm not going to complain. I'm going to appreciate it, right? I'm going to be grateful. Whatever happens, be grateful for it. We learn from it. Nick Vujicic had 3 lessons. What did he say? What are the 3 things he said? Remember them? First one, I choose to be thankful. Second one, I choose to dream big. Third one, never give up. No matter what happens, I choose to never give up. And this is how we make every day. You're learning how to make every day the happiest day of your life. Start your day with your one quality. Fill your your day with that one quality. End your day with that quality. Think back, where did I forget this quality? Start again tomorrow. When unwanted things, unwanted thoughts happen, what do you say? Cancel. And no matter what happens, we say, how wonderful. And if you can't say, at least say, it's good enough. You have acceptance. Acceptance is a doorway to all healing. You already know my mobile phone rule, right? When the wife shouts at you, whenever an unwanted, when you're stuck in a traffic light, deep breath and smile. It's a way of welcoming our experience. We also are saying again and again, and so it's a lovely thing to say. It's India में कहते हैं तथास्तु. चाहे जो हो जाए we say तथास्तु. Well done, well said, अच्छा हुआ. And here's one of my favorite ones. It's called rule number 6. Have any of you heard rule number 6? There's a lovely story about rule number 6. There were two prime ministers having a meeting, very important meeting. And in this meeting, it was a large room just like this. And there were two prime ministers having this meeting. A man walked in looking very tense, looking very stressed out. So the prime minister turned to him and said, Rahul, have you forgotten rule number 6? And suddenly Rahul's eyes brightened up, he smiled and said, Sir, Your Excellency, I completely forgot. Rule number 6, thank you so much. With a big smile he walks out. And the other prime minister says, what is that about? The conversation continues. Another man walks in. He's also looking very stressed, very agitated. Again the prime minister says, Siddharth, have you forgotten rule number 6? And again Siddharth smiles, Sir, I completely forgot rule number 6. Thank you, sorry for disturbing you. And he goes up. And again the prime minister is very confused. Third time again, a lady comes in. She's also looking very tired, very stressed. Again prime minister says, Anjali, remember rule number 6? And Anjali again, she straightens up and she smiles. Yes, sir, rule number 6, thank you. And she walks up. And by this time, the prime minister is very curious. He said, Sir, I know we're in the middle of an important meeting, but never in my career have I seen people who are so stressed, so agitated, get smiles so quickly. What is this formula of rule number 6? My whole country needs to hear this. We are full of agitated people. Please tell us this rule number 6 formula of yours. He said, Sir, it's no secret. Rule number 6 is very simple. Let's all say it together. Rule number 6 says, don't take life so seriously. Let's say it again. Don't take life so seriously. So this prime minister, I love this rule. Your rules are so good. Can you please tell me all your other rules? My country needs all your rules. I'll put on national television. Rule number 6, don't take life so seriously. He says, Sir, I'm sorry to say, there are no other rules. There are no other rules. Then why is it called rule number 6? So what's his answer? Don't take life so seriously. Don't take life so seriously. If you forget everything in the session and just remember rule number 6, that would be a very wonderful session. Because all our problems come from taking life way too seriously. There'll come a time in your life when you look back at whatever is happening today and you will laugh. Yes, that time will come. Hasn't it happened to you? You look back at your childhood, what happened in childhood, and you laugh. At that time, you never thought you would laugh about. But today, you're laughing about. You meet your old school friends, even the friend you used to have biggest fights with, and you hug each other and you laugh. Suppose at the end of life, I don't know if there's an afterlife or not, but suppose that's what happens. This is human happens. That we all get together, we have a big party. The one we dislike most, even your biggest fan, come and start, thanks fan, you got me forgiveness, I never used to know about forgiveness. Suppose that's the way it is. Very interesting. These are all stories that we tell, the way we look at life. Now let's talk about stress. You can repeat with me. Stress is defined as resisting what is. Arguing with reality. Fighting with reality. Judging reality. Whenever you argue with reality, you have stress. Whenever you fight with reality, you have stress. Remember the old formula, the formula we talked about, E plus R is equal to O. Event plus response is equal to outcome. When you focus on the events of your life, they should happen a certain way, they should not happen a certain way. And they don't go according to your plans, that's called stress. Now here's the radical understanding. Now the reason the session is called the myth of stress is because everything we talk about stress, stress is a relatively new word. The way it's used nowadays in terms of psychological stress, it's a relatively new word. This idea was not there more than 80 years back. It was discovered by a scientist called Hans Seidel. And he was an American scientist who was doing research on rats. And he noticed, when he troubled the rats, they began having ulcers inside themselves. And he thought that, oh, stress causes physical disease. And this concept was used a lot in World War II to train soldiers. And later on, it became what's called, you have this stress, you have eustress. And then there's like an optimal level of stress somewhere in between. So you must have got a fight or flight response. And all these ideas come from the research of Hans Seidel. But the only problem is that research was done on rats. And all those studies since they've been repeated have found to be false. They have been replicated and found to be false. So what I'm telling you today is, much of what we've learned about stress in college, even in corporate programs, is a false understanding of stress. It says, there is such a thing as a stressful job, there is such a thing as a stressful event, for example a divorce, or a death, these are stressful events in life. And the new understanding of stress says, nothing doing. So just say with me, stress is not caused by the events of my life. Stress is caused by my thoughts about the events of my life. We say it one more time. Stress is not caused by what happens in my life. Stress is caused by how I think about, how I interpret what happens in my life. Do you resonate with this? Is there some truth to this? And this is the paradigm of 100% responsibility. So in my world, there is no such thing as a stressful event. I meet people who are divorced. And in every single story of divorce, I find one person who's super happy. Every divorce, there's one person who wants to get out of that relationship. Otherwise, there would be no divorce, right? They're so happy, good riddance. So divorce is not stressful. I met a person recently who had brain tumor. And he tells me that brain tumor is the best thing that ever happened to him. It connected him back to himself and his family and everything that's important in his life. He found his guru through his brain tumor. And he says brain tumor is the best thing that ever happened. So brain tumor is not stressful. There are many people who are diagnosed with cancer. And they tell you the last 6 months of their life are the best 6 months of their life. And they'll say cancer was my best teacher, it was the best thing that ever happened. So cancer is not stressful. If you approach it in the right way. If you judge something and you're in stress. Love something and you're in heaven. And so we decide, what are we focusing on? Let me give you 4 paradigms that will help you clarify this further. The first paradigm, I'm imperfect. My life is imperfect and it keeps getting worse. This is the extreme of stress. My life is imperfect and it keeps getting worse. This is called depression. I am imperfect, you are imperfect, the world is imperfect. It keeps getting worse. Depression. Second paradigm, my life is pretty good. My life is really quite good. It's perfect. But what if it gets worse? You see, it's called attachment. It's called fear. It's called worry. It's called stress. That my job is good, my family is good, my kids are good. But what if something happens to them? You can't enjoy them anymore. Now you're always afraid. You're meeting them with fear. Not the way they are. You're meeting them with a projection of the future. Not them the way they are. What if I lose my job? What if I lose my health? What if what if? Fear, worry, stress. Another form of stress, and this may be happening to some of us over here. My life is imperfect, but one day it will get better. My life is imperfect, but one day it will come and it will be better. And this is called blind ambition. Which is not recognizing your blessings right now and saying one day, someday, some golden age will come and I'll be better. Haven't you played this game our whole life already? You played this game from when you were in school, you said college, and you told you in college you'll be happy. You studied very hard for college, then in college, wait, go to post-graduation and you'll be happy. Get into a good post-graduation institute. Okay, now wait, get a good job, then you'll be happy. Okay, wait, get married, then you'll be happy. Okay, wait, have kids, then you'll be happy. And it goes on, right? When your kids get into school, then you'll be happy. When your kids grow up, then they'll be happy. When your kids get married, you'll be happy. When your kids have kids, then you'll be happy. And now you're very old, but the Swamiji comes and says, don't worry, next life you'll be happy. You see how long are you going to play this game. And I'm here to tell you, if you play this game, you will never be happy. You will never be happy. Why? Because you're comparing your present experience, which is reality, with some fantasy. And this session is not about positive thinking. This session is about reality. We're talking about real stuff. There is nothing more real than where you are right now. Bring up any memory of the past, any idea of the future, and just check what is more real, that past, that future, or this right now. What is more real? This is more real. So here's the powerful paradigm. If you want a stress-free life, this is the paradigm you'll have to adopt sooner or later. Let's say together, my life is perfect. I am perfect. This world is perfect. Everyone is perfect. And it just keeps getting better. Constantly keeps getting better. It can joyfully be improved. And come back to Nick's paradigm, you find exactly the same with Nick's paradigm. Nick is a living example of someone, despite a very unwanted event, making every day the happiest day. So number one he said was be thankful. When you're thankful, everything is perfect. How can you be thankful and find it imperfect? It's not possible. So when you're thankful, everything is perfect. When you dream big, you also have a vision of how it can be improved. And in between that, you have infinite patience. Infinite patience. Right here you have the summary of what we're talking about in the session. Coming to the present moment, I'm going to ring my bell. I want you to be completely present to your experience in the present moment. Be aware of what you're hearing. And take a deep breath. Gently open your eyes. I have a very simple question for you. Living in the present moment, even as you are right now in the present moment. In the present moment, do you have any problem?
No.
No problem. Just check. In the present moment, do you have any problem? And this is one of the best lessons you've ever learned. Let's say together, in the present moment.
In the present moment.
There is never any problem.
There is never any problem.
Life is very simple.
Life is very simple.
All problems are defined as what? Problems are defined as? Trying to figure it out. You try to figure it out, you get caught into the equation. You start comparing and judging and figuring it out. But life is very simple. In the present moment, there is never any problem. All the things you've learned in life will be available to you only in the present moment. When your mind is wandering, none of that is available. Which is why we often have this saying, I learned so much I can't practice it. I used to have that. That I read so much, I learn so much, I go to so many such sessions, but I can't practice it. और तक सुनना बड़ा आसान है, करना बड़ा मुश्किल है. क्यों है? हम लोग ईश्वर में जीते हैं और हम लोग आता है. So we're going to learn about how you live in the present moment. And the answer actually is deceptively simple. Let me ask you something. Do any of you enjoy certain activities? Give me an example of something you enjoy. Anybody? What do you enjoy? Sorry? Gliding, fantastic. And so, somebody else? Jogging. Something else? Reading. Now let me ask some of you, the gliding, jogging, reading. When you're doing that, are you in the present moment? Are you in the present moment? When you're jogging, are you in the present moment? Jogging, is it jogging? Yeah? Is it jogging? Are you in the present moment? You would have followed your faith otherwise, right? You could be in the present moment. When you're reading, you've got to read every word, you're in the present moment. Whenever you're doing what you're enjoying, you're in the present moment. And so here's the simple solution of being in the present moment. Let's say together, don't just be in the present moment. Enjoy being in the present moment. Don't just be in the present moment. Fall in love with the present moment.